When we say the words community built on localism, what comes to our mind? Is it a social movement in the city that we live in? Is it a group of co-workers that we work with on a day-to-day basis? Perhaps it's buying produce from a local farmer's market.
For me, it's my grade 6 teacher agreeing to act in my first feature-length film. It's a local nurse donating funds to one of my projects. It's a bar owner letting me film in his establishment on a Sunday night. He did stay open during it, so recording sound was a bit of an issue, but he turned down the music for us, so I'm thankful. In our local community of Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, we've had to find creative solutions for when we can't afford to throw money at problems. The best way for us to be efficient and effective is to work together as a team.
See, we are Canadian independent filmmakers, and over the past 5 years, we've created 2 feature films, 2 shorts, a series of music videos, commercials, a feature-length documentary, comic book strips, and I could go on, but just listing all these things is starting to make me feel exhausted.
And through all of this, what we've realized is that there are 2 different types of communities. So on one side, you have what we've been working really hard to build. It's a community built on localism. Now, this community, it hinges on a shared emotional intelligence that ultimately leads to cultivating meaningful relationships with the team members. The people who engage in this community, they're coming from a place of love. They want to be a part of something homegrown with a fierce, independent spirit. And the community welcomes their ideas and contributions and understands that success has many parents. Failure is an orphan.
On the other side of the equation, we have a community built on capitalism. The people in this community are motivated by money. They're hungry for an opportunity to further their own career paths. And if they're lucky, they may even get a chance to rub shoulders with the elite members of society. In this community, you need to play by the rules. It's a community based on high-powered and financial connections. Every day, and every minute in this world, money talks.
But in the community built on localism, you may be able to source locations, props, costumes, and even people by simply asking for it. So a few years ago, we were working on a film project that required a big, expensive-looking house. Kind of wrote ourselves into a corner with the screenplay because we didn't actually have access to a big, expensive-looking house. So we had to hustle. Flash forward a couple weeks, and we found the perfect house to make the scene work. We even knew the homeowner, but the idea that he'd let us come in and film for a couple of days for free didn't seem very reasonable. So we found out that he wanted to make a local commercial, and he needed some footage for it. So of course, we packed up the truck with a tripod, a camera, a drone. We drove up 25 minutes north of Sault Ste. Marie, and we found a win-win situation. We got the perfect house to make the scene work.
See, growing up in our small community of Northern Ontario, movies felt so far removed from anything that I thought was possible to create. I mean, I knew I wanted to make a living making movies, but I always found myself at this crossroads, listening to my friends and family saying, you need to move away. The opportunities are better elsewhere. And if I had $1 for every time those thoughts get whispered into my brain, my films would be made on a much higher budget. Exactly. Now, over the years, we watched a lot of our friends move away to cool and exciting places like Los Angeles, Toronto, New York. But we decided to stay. With a deep commitment and passion, we believe something could work in our community.
I was 14 years old the first time that I met Ryan. It was on a film set, and he was running around with a backwards baseball cap, flip-flops, and he was at a camera insane. So in a town full of steelworkers, he kind of stood out from the crowd. It was like finding life on another planet. I knew within a half-hour conversation with him that we would work well together as a team. So, as a team of 2, we had to move forward and find a group of people to join us on this adventure.
How many people out here have ever thought about making a movie? One, can we ask what kind of movie you thought about making?
Fiction.
Oh, okay. Not romance? Anybody out here dreamt of being in a rock band? No? The same person.
Sorry,
we like that. We like that. How about anybody out there wanting to be in or create a successful business? A few. Okay. Well, today we are going to discuss our 3 key steps to leveraging local resources to create a collaborative community. So, how do we do this? Where do we begin? Well, first of all, we need to decide what it is we're going to do. And that brings us to our first key step, the big idea. We live in a fragmented digital world where hundreds of hours of distractions bombarding our mind 24 hours a day. You need to have an idea big enough to shake your team awake and get them to come on this adventure with you. This is an epic scavenger hunt, and you're going to need everybody to band together to help you collect the pieces you're going to need. But before you start, take a look at your community. See what resources you have access to. Then reverse engineer your idea from there, and you should be well on your way.
So 3 years ago, we were putting together our second feature-length film. It was kind of a big project for us at the time, and the number one hurdle in our way was casting. So we put out a call to action, and we set the audition dates for a Saturday and a Sunday. Kind of made a mistake here because the Sunday happened to be Mother's Day. But people still came out. They left their moms at home, and they came and read for us, which was great. And the number one thing that we kept hearing from people is that they wanted to be a part of the project because it seemed like a unique and special experience outside of their everyday lives.
Now, your idea needs to be unique. It needs to be strong enough to keep the team invested for long hours. Even if you've been at it 8 hours, it's midnight, and you still got 3 hours to go. Feature filmmaking within our community is still a unique thought process at the moment. Our recent film project required 45 actors, 21 locations, 17 filming days, and it was made on a whopping $10,000 budget. Not bad. Now, you need your team to buy into this. Now, this could be tricky because if we told the team that we're going to make the next Indiana Jones on this budget, they're probably all going to look at us and not have any belief that we're going to get that done. So keep your idea big, but not so big that your group thinks you're lost in dreamland. Once they understand the big idea, you're ready for the next step.
Okay, so we know the why and the what. Now we got to focus on the how. Step 2 is a detailed action plan, and we mean detailed. It is so important to think all the way through to the end of the project. Because in the early days when you're just starting out, it's easy to get caught up in the idea and think like, it'll be great once we get there. Here's a news flash for you. These people are dedicating their time to your project because they want to be a part of something special. So the least that you can do is make sure that you're not wasting their time. Be thorough with the plan. Feed your people. Take care of them. Let them know how important they are to the team.
See, we had a scenario on our first film where we had 12 actors slated to film. In one of the scenes that was close to the beginning of the movie is quite important. We needed to establish their character. And we got wind that 2 people weren't going to make the shooting. So we were racking our brains. We said, can we reschedule this? Well, no, we couldn't because 3 people that were there couldn't be there tomorrow. So we were really in a heap of panic. We had no choice but to rewrite the film on the fly. And this made things difficult to keep up with continuity as we still had the rest of the movie to shoot. We can't help but think that that's something that we could have planned better from the beginning. Maybe we underestimated the amount of shooting time that it would take, but detailed action plan.
So in our community built on localism, a lot of these little tasks are going to fall to you. If this was a capitalist community, there would be somebody there to help you with everything. They'd pick you up from the airport, they'd make the schedule for you, they'd get the coffee just the way you like it. That's not going to cut it here. It all comes down to you. So really take your time to think through the plan, anticipate what might go wrong, and effectively communicate your strategy with the rest of your team.
And lastly, the most important step, and arguably the reason why any creative community would actually work. You need to empower your people. Remember, this is a community based on emotional connections. And what do we mean by empowerment? Well, it's the authority and permission to act. So, free your people to do their work. Within our community built on localism, we've given people jobs that just aren't available to them in the capitalist community. And we invite them into our ecosystem, ask them where their passions lie. Once we figure out those passions, we take it and run and prefer the passion over a bad attitude and raw talent any day. Then we wager what it is they want to do. Sometimes what they actually want to partake in the film is a little bit too much or it might not be right for them, but we feel that by sitting down and having them express their ideas to us, it makes them feel a little bit more passionate to come back to the project and give 100%.
Yeah, and one of our biggest goals with this whole thing is we want to give people an opportunity to grow from project to project. We've got a situation right now where this young woman, she started off as just an extra set of hands on set. And at the wrap party, she came up and pitched us an idea for a short film screenplay. We're actually producing this film next month with her in the director's chair. So it's something for her to see behind the curtain and realize that you can actually produce something using this method. It inspired creativity in her, and that's what it's all about.
These little calculated risks have paid off in dividends for the group. It's ultimately helped pave the way for these people to chart their own path to success. The other sense of empowerment is the sense of shared responsibility. Once they understand the big idea, they understand the detailed action plan and how the goal is going to be achieved, and finally feel empowered enough to bring their creativity and passion to the project, you're ready for liftoff.
So it hasn't been a flawless journey, because that's just how life goes, isn't it? We've run into situations where somebody's entered our community based on localism with a capitalist mindset. There's always a lot of heartache involved in this because all it takes is one bad attitude to start dragging down the rest of the team. If you find this happening to you, you need to do everything you can to shield the community from this negativity. We're predicting that if we're not quite there, in the next few years we'll be entering the age of the micro studio. Technology has advanced to such a point that you can produce a project in your own backyard, distribute that project through the internet to the world, and have the potential to generate revenue. Our community built on localism is what allows our micro studio to function. The tools are more affordable than they ever have been. The audience is more accessible than it ever has been. There's only the future, so why not get started today?
Make great films.
Write compelling books.
Paint beautiful pictures.
Spend some of your time building up your own local collaborative creative community.
The world loves stories.
Maybe it's time for you to share one of your own. Thank you.